morning. You're listening to The Brief Wake Up, your mindful start to the day. I'm Handel, your daily coffee companion, helping you wake up informed, thoughtful, and maybe just a little amused before the day gets old. If you're commuting, corralling kids, or just standing in line for caffeine, you're in the right place. Let's get you caught up. First, let's start with what matters the most: our health. How much water should you drink? We've all heard it. Drink 8 glasses of water a day. It's the kind of advice that's been passed around so long, it sounds like law. But here's the truth. That number isn't carved in stone. It's more of a gentle guideline than a universal rule. How much water you really need depends on your weight, activity, climate, and even what you eat. A solid range is about 30 to 35 cubic centimeters per kilogram of body weight, roughly 2 to 3 liters for most adults. That's right around those 8 glasses. But your body isn't counting cups, it's managing balance. If you're active, working outdoors, or living somewhere warm, you can lose a liter or more of fluid every hour. In that case, water alone might not be enough. Add electrolytes such as sodium, potassium, or magnesium to keep your body from flushing out what it needs. And don't forget, hydration doesn't just come from your water bottle. Fruits, veggies, soups, even coffee and tea all add to the total. Your best indicator, your body itself. Dark yellow urine, dry lips, headache, or fatigue. Those are whispers from your system saying, refill me. Clear to pale yellow urine means you're right where you should be. Now the myth bust. There's this idea that if you're not constantly sipping water all day, you're already dehydrated. Not true. Your body isn't that fragile. Hydration isn't a race, it's a balance. You don't need to force water past the point of thirst, and you don't need to walk around with a gallon jug like it's a personality trait. What matters is steady intake and responding to real signals such as thirst, sweating, heat, activity. So, skip the anxiety about counting cups. Instead, think of water as a rhythm. Drink steadily through the day, more when you move, and don't ignore thirst. It's not a flaw, it's your body's built-in notification system. Hydration isn't a chore. It's one of the simplest ways to keep your mind clear, your skin glowing, and your energy steady. And that's something worth raising a glass to, literally. And now for the news. Yes, we are still talking about it. Here's a government shutdown update. There's finally some movement in Washington today. The first real shift we've seen in days, as the Senate pushes forward a compromise bill aimed at ending the government shutdown. And after a week of political trench warfare, even a small step feels like a recalibration. So, here's where things stand. Democrats have been pressing hard for a temporary reprieve on enforcing certain Affordable Care Act rules. They made it a central bargaining chip throughout the negotiations. But in the end, that provision didn't make it into the final text of the bill. Instead, leadership agreed to something quieter but still meaningful: a dedicated vote later this month on the Affordable Care Act issue as a standalone measure. So, it's not a policy win today, but it keeps the debate alive on a separate track, without holding up the broader effort to reopen the government. Now the attention shifts to the House, where things get trickier. The vote margin is slimmer, the politics are messier, and both parties know the public's patience is thinning. If the House adopts the bill as it stands, the government can begin reopening within hours. Federal workers return to their posts, agencies start digging out from backlogs, and the FAA can begin reversing those flight reductions that have been snarling travel across major airports. And that part matters. The travel delays we've seen, the cutbacks in air traffic flow, the staff shortages are directly tied to this shutdown. Reopening the government doesn't fix everything instantly, but it does stop the bleeding. If the House stalls or tries to amend the bill, though, the shutdown continues. That means more uncertainty for federal employees, more slowdowns at airports, and more strain on everything from passport processing to federal benefits. So today brings movement, not resolution. The Senate did its part, the compromise is on the table, and now all eyes shift to the House. One vote, just one, could determine whether the country gets back to normal by the weekend or stays stuck in limbo. For tech and culture, we explore the time traveler's paradox, the loop with no beginning. Today we're kicking off a brand new tech and culture mini-series. One question, 4 paradoxes, mind-bending territory ahead. We're starting with the one that quietly threatens the entire idea of cause and effect. The causal loop, often called the Bootstrap Paradox. Imagine this. Future you shows up on your doorstep holding a device you're destined to invent. You study it, reverse engineer it, and eventually create the very thing your future self delivered. So who created it? You? Future you? Or did the idea bypass creation entirely? This is the wound in the fabric of logic that the causal loop opens. A circle with no beginning, a sequence that doesn't start anywhere, an object or idea that exists simply because it exists, as if the universe quietly allowed a shortcut. And when you lean into it, it gets unsettling. We're wired to think of time as a clean line. Point A leads to point B. But the causal loop whispers something else. Maybe A and B exist together in a closed circuit. Maybe time isn't marching forward. Maybe it's folding. You've seen this paradox dramatized all over modern storytelling. Interstellar, Tenet, Doctor Who. Stories where the future shapes the past completes the future, and nobody can trace the first thread because there is no first thread. But here's where it hits the tech world. We're already playing with systems that feel eerily similar. Consider AI training. We train a model on data. It generates new data. We use that new data to train the next model. Over enough iterations, the origin becomes murky. Where did the signal start? Where does human input end and the model's influence begin? There's a loop forming, a pattern where the source gets harder to locate. Technology evolving through its own influence. A modern echo of the Bootstrap Paradox. So, here's the question I'll leave you with today. If loops with no clear beginning can exist in physics, storytelling, and technology, what does that say about the universe we live in? Are we as linear as we think? Or are we already living inside structures that don't start or stop? They just rotate? In part 2, we're stepping into the paradox everyone thinks they understand until they don't. The grandfather paradox, where changing the past forces the universe to decide whether to break or correct you. That one gets intense. Now on to our lighter roast. No True Scotsman, and definitely no true boyfriend. Alright, let's talk about the classic fallacy. The No True Scotsman and relationships. It's that mental gymnastics routine people do when they want to protect an idea from reality. It goes like this. Scotsmen don't put sugar in their porridge. Then someone says, actually, my Uncle Angus does. And the response is, well, no true Scotsman would do that. You just move the goalpost, so you never have to update your belief. Now, take that same fallacy and walk it straight into relationships. Because we've all heard the remix. No real man would act like that. No real woman would say that. No real partner would need space. No real boyfriend would get quiet when stressed. No real girlfriend would forget an anniversary. Okay, maybe that last one still stings a little, but you get the point. It's the same fallacy wearing cologne. Instead of dealing with the actual person in front of you, you just redefine the category until only your preferred version counts. That's the trap. The moment you say, no real partner would do X, you're telling on yourself. You're not describing universal human behavior. You're describing your fantasy of how people should operate. And reality doesn't care about your fantasy. Because here's the truth nobody likes admitting. Real people are messy. Real relationships are inconsistent. Real partners have bad days, good intentions, blind spots, growth spurts, regressions, and moments where they feel like they're glitching emotionally. So, when you say, no real man would do that, you've basically declared yourself the authority on the entire category of humanity. And that's wild. If anyone else did that, you'd call them delusional. Instead, a healthier version sounds like this. This behavior doesn't work for me. This isn't aligned with my values. This makes me feel unseen. Now you're not redefining the category, you're defining your boundaries. The No True Scotsman fallacy shows up in dating all the time. He cheated? No real man cheats. She raised her voice. No real woman does that. He didn't text back fast enough. No real partner would. People use the fallacy to avoid uncomfortable truths. People are people, not categories, not archetypes, not templates. And when you cling to the true man, true woman, true partner storyline, you're not protecting your standards, you're protecting your illusions. Real connection comes from saying, what's actually happening? Not, what do I wish the entire human species would do in this moment? So next time someone hits you with, no true partner would act like that, just remember, you're not dating the entire category. You're dating one very specific human with their own wiring, history, and inconsistencies. And that's the roast. If you need to shrink the universe down to your personal rulebook just to make sense of a relationship, you're not looking for a partner, you're looking for a puppet. For today's commemoration, we've got a mix of serious and not so serious observances. The kind that reminds you life is both heavy and hilariously human. First up, World Pneumonia Day. A global reminder that one of the most preventable, treatable infections still claims millions of lives, especially children and older adults. Clean air, timely vaccination, early diagnosis, the basics still save lives. If today nudges you to check on a vulnerable family member or get your own immunizations up to date, that's the heart of this day. Now, let's lighten the air a little. Today is also Chicken Soup for the Soul Day, a day literally created to celebrate emotional nourishment, the Feed Your Spirit holiday. Not a bad reminder in November, when everybody's stressed, tired, and maybe one group text away from losing it. If there's ever a day to slow down, breathe, and give yourself grace, is this one. No forced optimism, just permission to be human. And then, National Happy Hour Day. Yes, it's real. A cultural celebration of that golden hour between working and pretending you're done working. You don't need a drink to honor it. The point is connection. Sit with someone you love, laugh too loud, decompress, and remember you're not a machine. So, November 12th gives you both sides of the spectrum. Take care of your health, take care of your spirit, and take a moment, even a quick one, to step out of the grind and reconnect with yourself and your people. That's today's commemoration. Today we broke down what real hydration means, checked in on the shutdown fight in Washington, and took our first step into the mind-bending world of time paradoxes. We roasted the No True Scotsman fallacy in relationships and remind ourselves that real people don't fit into perfect categories. And as November 12th's commemoration showed, taking care of your health, your spirit, and your connections is still the simplest formula for getting through this life intact. I'm Handel. Be curious, be kind, and top off that cup. Till next time.